Hello everybody, welcome back to Sprueverse, my scale model universe, people of Earth. Welcome to part 5 of Build, the Helios 1650 Enterprise D. This is, as we know, quite a challenge, and but I've been looking forward to starting this kit ever since I got a hold of it. And I'm thrilled to know that a few good people in the community are building it, not to mention Andrew over at Canadian Starship, and of course my dear friend Lou Dalmaso. He's also starting to crack it. So, and there's other versions of this too. You know, if you want a Partworks version, go over to Wayne's channel, World of Wayne, and watch him. He's doing a commission build for the Partworks Enterprise D. That'll be interesting because he sworn that off a whole bunch of times. But here we are with this. And there is so much to report, and there's so much going on that I'll keep this intro brief, and then we'll dive in. Some of this was pre-recorded, so it might seem a little wackadoodle to you, but I promise you it'll all make sense. But just to quickly let you know that as I'm recording my opening, I'm getting word that my base is dangerously close to getting ready for pickup. I could not be more excited. So I think that'll be part 6, where we'll actually have the base here in the studio, and we can start to look at what final construction might look like. So anyway, there you go. Welcome back to the channel. Thank you for all of your support. Let's dive in. Okay, so here we are in part 5. And there's an awful lot going on, and what's interesting about this is as you start to dive into this and you look at the details of these incredible research photos that we've been kindly shared with us from myenterprised.com. That's myenterprised.com. You can see that he's put together an excellent library of images that are really helpful, but they also show you that this ship has details that are missing from it. Now, you could argue that it depends on which ship you're building, right? Are you doing it from the original Next Generation series season 1, season 2? Are you doing it from Generations? Are you doing it from Picard? What D are you? And then so you've got a little bit of leeway there to kind of do whatever you want. But I would say this, in looking at the ship that's in front of us and the model that we're building, there are some details that it could really stand to use. So we're going to find some photo etch to add those details. We're also going to probably put some masking in, some black dots to indicate some of those things. And we can talk about those in just a second. But I want you to take a look at this image, and you'll see that, and I'll show you on the practical model in just a second, that there is a row of round, they look like portholes, that they're above the first row of sets of 2 on the neck, and they're also on the top surface of the secondary hull there, which is not a secondary hull, is it?
That's very much the secondary
that's
hull.
The secondary hull. Thank God I got that right. By the way, say hello to Lou Dalmaso, who's spending the week with me here.
I'm still here. Many hours have passed since the last time we spoke.
He looks thoroughly like he's thoroughly enjoying himself, doesn't he?
I am.
No, he's a mensch. I cannot tell you he's a mensch. That's all I need to say. But
Are you calling me immense?
I am.
Okay. Not that big.
But suffice it to say, we want to add that extra detail because it's going to be fun, and why not? And the piece of photo etch that I put on here, Lou.
Don't tell me it's gone.
Well, it slid away, so I'm going to have to.
That's why you use CA and not PVA.
I know. So I'm going to take this off so I don't lose it.
Tack it a little bit.
I'm just going to take this off, and I'm going to put that right there.
Okay.
Okay, so I'm not going to lose it now. We cut a little bit of photo etch to put in this photon torpedo in the front because it's woefully under detailed. But anyway, I have done enough yapping. Lou, question for you now is we obviously have a great ship that we're building.
Mm-hmm.
It's going to need a superstructure. It's going to need a base. Now, we've been working on that base. I've got one under construction that we've been checking out at Avalon Metalworks here in California, and Taylor over there is helping us out.
Mm-hmm.
And it's a prototype, obviously. It's going to go through many refineries, but it will have a steady base.
Right.
It will have a post of some kind, obviously. The secondary hull will attach to it, and then there'll be an armature on the metal plate that extends out to hold
Out into the neck,
out
and
into the neck.
into an armature that holds the saucer.
So, do you want to talk a little bit about what you're thinking we're going to need to hold that saucer up so it doesn't droop? Because clearly that resin arm that we're given is, I think it was woefully under.
Well, a lot of what we're doing is specific to how Phil has handled his phaser strip lighting, because you may not do it the same way we're doing it. That's a guest appearance by Phil's Mr. Compressor. It's gonna. What my philosophy on this is that the armature should attach to the base in such a way that it's substantial, and you're basically dressing that armature with the resin pieces. No resin piece has any stress on it. It's all handled through the armature, and you're basically resting the resin piece on top of the armature.
Right.
So that you're not dealing with any sag or any of that sort of thing. My goal is different than Phil's goal in our builds. So I want to make a way to make my saucer removable for transport, and he wants to make his saucer affixed and permanent. Once it's on and done, which I may end up coming around to that way of thinking as soon as I realize how difficult and stupid my idea was.
Well, it's a challenge for sure.
It's a challenge. But because of the size of this, I don't know if you want to open it.
Yeah, we can open
and
it.
there's a whole lot because of the design of this. Can you throw me an overhead view?
Yeah. Yep.
Because of the design of the
There you go.
saucer, there's a whole lot of business going on in the very front and on the very side, and the two sides and the very back. That's where you've got all the lighting formations and all that. You've got enough stuff going on there without adding your armature woes to that point as well. So if we could do something that is kind of off axis, at least this is how I'm thinking to do mine. If we did our armature on an off axis this way and then ran a pole out the back, then that frees up these areas in the four corners or in the two sides, so that you can have your formation lights and you're not fighting for that same amount of real estate. And then that armature, that X shape, would slot into a neck socket that would then go down the neck and then down straight into the base. Now, the saving grace of this design, the way the Helios people have made their model, is that their secondary hull has, it's right here, I'll grab it. The secondary hull has a metal plate. Let me move this off to the side. Has a secondary plate right here. That is, well, once you tightened it down to this, that's not going nowhere. That's going absolutely nowhere. And a good generous application of epoxy is going to keep this much happy and well adjusted for the rest of its natural life. Now that, my friends, is all the solidity you need, because everything comes off of this metal plate, and if we tack weld a bar that goes up to here and then out to that armature where the neck or the saucer is, there's virtually no weight on the resin itself. It's all coming down through this plate, transferred through this bar into the base to the core of the earth, and there's nothing more solid than that. Now, as many people know, we got version 1 of all of this. We're going back to that old familiar song. Version 1 had a plate that was twice as thick as it should have been.
No, we have it here. If you want to.
Here is the original plate. Oh my Lord, that's tall. That's heavy. But this plate was twice as thick as it needed to be. So we had gotten replacements of the plate, and the way it's designed, this plate actually acts as the sensor band of the top and bottom of the saucer. Can you hand the top of the star drive over here? Just
it does a nice job, by the way.
Just to show how it will sit. It will sit very much like this. Now I'm trying to keep all of the wires out of the way. But when you put it all together, what the rocking here is what's happening because of the base on the table. I've got the X-Acto knife under here. But trust me, this is solido.
Yeah.
This is not going nowhere.
Do you want to hand me the lower saucer and we'll give them
give you a thrill. We'll put the whole saucer in
in
play here. Watch your wiring.
Yeah.
And it goes something like that.
Look at that. Now you start to see.
I'm going to even do yet one better.
Yeah. Oh, look at that. Yeah. Now you see look at this. For the first time, we're seeing the actual scale of this thing. It's pretty awesome.
By the time you add that and that.
And there, my friend, is the D. That is very cool. For the first time.
That's that much of it together.
Yeah. So you can see, and I promise you, as I'm standing here holding this, this is extremely heavy, and there isn't any way I would trust that resin piece, even if it was epoxied to the plate. I just would not trust it. Wouldn't trust it at all. So I am.
You're making it sad. You've hurt its feelings. Look at it; it's laying over there.
Oh yeah. But I seriously am so happy that we've got a metal armature in here, because it's going to need every bit of it, and then at least you'll know that the saucer is not going to go anywhere, because it's heavy. I mean, what would you say, Lou? 20 pounds, 15 pounds without
that? Oh no, that's 5 to 7 pounds.
5 to 7 pounds.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. But still, you don't want it. Oh, that is so neat in there. That is. Get a camera inside there. In the neck. Get a camera in the neck. That is such a neat view.
Is it really?
Yes.
I don't know if I can. Well, actually, I can. Let me see if I can come over here.
I just saw that and saw the light shining through it. It's such a neat view.
All right, hang on. Let me see if I can do this. Let's go overhead here. Whoa. See if I can pull this to camera. Oh, it is a neat view. Look at that. That is a neat view. That's really cool.
Okay, thank you for indulging me.
You're very welcome. Are you okay to take that back? Okay.
Unlike Counselor Troy, I can drive a saucer.
Well, so you can see that there's a lot to think about here in terms of the engineering of that base, but it's coming together, as is, by the way. We'll be previewing this soon. It won't be in this episode. It might be in maybe 6 or 7. But Lou and I have tested these touch buttons, and we put them under a piece of 5 mil, I think it was 5 mil,
at least
5 mil acrylic sheet. Here, I've got it here. We put them under this, and would you believe it? The touch button absolutely works. It absolutely works, which tells us that our L car that we ultimately make for this can lay under this. The button can lay under that. It can be perfectly smooth, and that's going to work like a charm. I mean, that is really going to be impressive. So I am super happy with that. But so that'll be down the road. But the electronic part of this, I think, will be okay. But I've run into some issues with it, which is really interesting. As I was plugging all of the various touch buttons, and there are 8 of them, into the board, what we realized is how sensitive these proximity buttons are. And I think it was Lou who pointed it out to me, which is like, well, we need to get them away from each other and glue them down. And only then can you really test what's going on, because I was struggling with it. It was getting a little confused. It was sensing other proximity buttons, and I think it was winding it up. It didn't like it. So, but listen, this is the learning curve for someone like me who, at best is in 5th grade when it comes to electronics. But I'm getting there. I'm growing and learning every day, and that's what this is all about, right? We learn. So that is really what I wanted to talk about in terms of the base and the updates of that. What's up next for us is we've got a few more lights we need to put in. Here, I'll let you see what he's doing over here. Look, he's playing around.
This is the armature that comes with the kit.
Yeah.
Imagine this in metal with a cross X on it.
We can use a ruler here to demonstrate that if you want.
Yes. Something like that. I don't know if the top camera won't see that.
Yes, it will. I think it can. If you slide it, there you go.
Talk amongst yourselves. I'll be here.
You just turn it around.
Yeah, I'm doing that.
There you go.
Okay, that's coming up out of the top.
Yeah. Yeah. And that's what it's going to take.
Something like that.
And in metal. And so clearly you can see that we're going to transfer a tremendous amount of stress from the saucer to that bar.
Right. And like I said, I don't even want the plastic of the ship coming in contact with the armature, except we're in a couple of key points on the top. I just want to dress this armature with the resin.
Right. Okay. So there you are, work continues on the 1650, and I'm sort of a little all over the map now because it's September the 1st, and 2024. And I just had a conversation with Lou, the Aztek Dummy, and we were discussing some things. One of the things that we are working on is the overall paint scheme plan for this thing, because we've got to lay down our base coat, which is going to be our French blue. And then after we've laid that down, we're going to have to lay down some white for the back side of some of the decals that we are building. We're creating ourselves, so that we don't have anything tied together. Unfortunately, the decal set has everything tied to one, and it's just not good enough. With all due respect, it's just not good enough. So we're sort of logistically getting that together. We're also realizing that there's no lighting plan at all for the shuttle bay, which I started to work on, and I'm starting now to mask the underside of the belly. I mean, obviously here this is going to be where your 3/4 inch support pipe goes through for my base, and so what I'm trying to do now is just get masks on, as well as work on my little shuttle bay here, just trying to sort of figure out what I'm going to do. I'm going to hit these side panels with a little bit of paint before I attach them to these panels, and then I'll give it one more dusting just to make sure everything is uniform. But the reality of it is that you're not going to see an awful lot of this, but it is going to require some detail, and it has some nice detail, as you can see here. This is the Helios 6-foot, which inspired them to offer us a shuttle bay for our 1650. So I'm going to sort of continue to work on that. There's no ceiling to it, so I'm going to have to create some kind of a way to light this. I think I'm going to use some 0850 SMD strip tape. It's very narrow and it looks pretty cool. And I will probably run that, since it runs on 12 volts as well, I'll run it into the lighting that lights up everything else. So I've got that to work on. The masks are going on quite well. There's a lot of them, as we know, and it is. It's not that it's you've got to you got to get into a rhythm, right? So what we've got to do is we've just got to try and try to lay these in as best as we can, and that's the short one. Let's see here. No, that's a short one. I grabbed it from the wrong side. I need a long one. This is basically what happens when you're not paying attention. There we go. Come into focus. There it is. And I've got to keep going. Lots to do. It'll get there, right? It's just you got to kind of just stay focused, and off you go. So I'm going to mask my my lower half and get that taken care of. I'm going to start working on the shuttle bay, and then I will come back and show you. I've got to remove the shuttle bay door now, so that so that we can see this in situ. And then I've got my new door here. Here it is. Here's the new door, which I've cut out of card, and I've just got to get that into some boiling hot water, so that matches the correct curvature of my shuttle bay. Okay, so I also had a delivery from Evans for my 5 mils red, which I'm going to be using on my Bassard collectors, and we'll get to that as well. So lots going on. But what I'm doing right now is I'm just finalizing, if you can believe this, all the windows that appear in this in the hull here, and they're going on quite well, as you can see. So that work continues, and it's not difficult, but it's time consuming, and you have to try to get everything lined up, but it's all going together quite well. I want to say one more thing about windows. I think, depending on what your goal is here, the windows on this model should not be pinpoints of light, in my opinion. It should be a subtle effect. You should know that they're on, and obviously there's no light in space. It's the absence of light. So, you're in constant darkness unless you're, around a sun or something like that, where you're picking up light from that. But other than that, you're in constant darkness, and so that's what we're dealing with here. We're dealing with constant darkness. So when you're in constant darkness, that would mean that when you view this ship, you're going to view it. You're in constant darkness. So that means you're going to view it that way, and so you're not going to need these massive pinpoints of light. You're going to need warm, subtle light, and that's what I'm going for. Okay, so I'm going to continue to work on these windows. We'll come back after I have actually primed this. I'm going to prime this in the white. We're using the white, and then it'll get a coat of the French blue. And we'll take a look at that, as well as I will come back and talk a little more about this, which is my shuttle bay, which is coming together really well. I think I'm ready to install my shuttle bay. So we're going to be looking at that as well, and we will also look at starting to think about the nacelles. We'll get those on the bench, and we'll start to just talk about those just a little bit, so that you can understand what my thought process is. And I was able to get down to Avalon Metalworks yesterday. Yesterday being the 4th of September, 24 in the morning, and we're in great shape. All what Taylor's working on now is my cross brace for the saucer. Once the cross brace is made, the frame is ready to go, and the ship can be installed around it once we're ready to do that. He's also been working on my control panel, which I'm very excited about. So we know that that's coming together, and that will form the basis of the presentation of the ship. Okay, so I'm going to get all these windows masked up, and we'll come back and we'll take a look at what I'm going to be doing with the nacelles in terms of my lighting process. I've also got lighting to get into here. I've got to figure out how I'm getting my lighting in here, because I've got my armature, which is gonna. This is probably the best way to do it. I've got my armature, which is going to come through this opening in the neck, but I've also got my photon torpedo here in the front that has a light in the back here, and you can see it here, and it dominates this. So I have to make sure that gets pulled out of the way, as do these navigation lights here. They are together here, and so I've got to tack those down and make sure that they're out of the way, because once this gets, essentially it's going to get like this is the movement. Essentially you start like this, and then what you do is you lift it over the saucer. I'll be showing you this, so don't worry. You lift it over the saucer and it will sit down on the plate, and that is not going anywhere once I have epoxied this ring in. Now the interesting thing about that is that all of these lights here, and I'll show you, you can see them quite well here. All of these lights are at the very edge, and that's where my metal plate goes, which means that they're not going to get lit unless I can find some way to get light in there. They're just not going to get light. So none of those will get any light, I'm afraid, because the metal plate sits on there. So don't know about that design aspect, but there you go. But there are other opportunities to light this, and then I also have to think about my deflector dish. Now I've got masks for that, and we can start working on that as well. It's details, really. And I'm moving around, and the fact that I'm sort of stopping and moving around is actually keeping me interested in the model. Otherwise, it quite honestly can be quite tedious. But I will say it's a lot of fun to start seeing this come together. And for some weird reason, I'm not feeling overwhelmed by the lighting concept. It's pretty straightforward. What isn't straightforward is also, is making sure your connections are right, and making sure that you've got nothing shorting out, and also making sure that you've soldered something properly. I've caught myself a couple of times with my strip lighting, seeing that, I've crossed a wire here, or that is one of the issues when you're given this cable wire, and you've got 12 or 13 of them with all of these goofy colors on the inside, you've got to make a note. I have to make a note of everything that's positive and everything that's negative, and I'm labeling everything. And this time around, I will not be gluing anything down until I've tested everything and I know that it fires up. Because once it's sealed, and we're not going back. So it's really important that I do that. Okay, work continues. A quick pop in because I'm looking at some reference photos and there's a couple of details that are missing from the star drive, from the back of the neck, and specifically below the lower shuttle bays, left and right, the two small ones. There are 4 sets of windows. Let me show you those. There's 4 sets of windows here and on the opposite side, and there's supposed to be a small detail right below. So we're going to put that in right now so that we have that, because I don't want to forget it, and I'm trying to do the best I can to get some accurate stuff here, because that's part of the fun of this. So we're going to just put that there like such, and that takes care of that like that, and that is now good to go. And that accurizes this side, and we've just got to slide it over, and we're going to do the same on the other side here, and it goes below these 4 windows here. And sometimes you have to do a little bit of squaring up on these windows as you set them, because I sort of speed set my windows, and sometimes you just have to go back. It's not a big deal, and you just have to make sure that you get those you get those set nicely, because I'm dangerously close here to actually actually getting some primer on this, and I don't want to get the primer on until I've got all the other little details on. So that's what I'm working on now. So there we go, and that is perfect. And that's a nice touch. It's a nice little detail, and it's nice. It's fun to have these little elements in there. I've been putting little bits of card whenever I see it on the detail from the reference photos. I am trying to copy it. And I've got a few more little details I'm now going to put onto the star drive neck walls, just to accurize those a little bit, and then we'll be ready for primer. Okay, we've reached a moment in time where we can take a look at actually attaching our nacelles to our pylons. And as I mentioned in an earlier update, the nice thing about the way this is set up is I can actually make sure these are 100% square by laying down my epoxy and then letting them dry overnight like this, and they will be rock solid. And then once they're in, I can use my epoxy putty to just go around and make these seams absolutely perfect. The setup is really good, and so I'm really happy with this. And when I tip these up, the pros and the cons of not putting these together, it makes more sense to put them together, because once they are together, I can start working on the electrics. I've got my, as you can see here, this actually came with this kit. It was pre-gouged. These were pre-routed. These were not. So they're in and they're nice and smooth, but this was not routed. So I've got to start, planning on what happens here. Also, there's nothing complicated underneath in terms of my my Azteking. So there isn't anything that I can't get to. and it still it has to be attached anyway. So I might as well get it attached. And as I said, there's nothing complicated about what goes on under there. Now, having said that, you do have to think about what happens when you reach under there, because it is a tight fit, but it's not impossible, and we may end up just being able to to address that gingerly, but I think we should be fine. So that's the next thing to happen, is to get these attached. So what I'm going to do first is I'm just going to make sure one last time that I've got a good fit here, and that everything is as it should be, and then we can start. We can actually start looking at what is involved in putting the nacelles together, because I've got the chiller grill effect, the warp drive effect. So my clear parts have to be painted copper with the black lines in them, but the blue needs to be able to shine through. And then I've got my Bassard collector effect, which I'm still playing with. The kit only provided one 5mm red, and I believe, and I believe Lou believes, that we need more than one light in there. We will not get a nice even effect. Now, I have been looking at the Evans Design breathing light in an orange, say, just to give it that sort of a very interesting kind of gaseous effect in there. We're also going to use some fiber fill, which I think will also help. And I've gone ahead and started to sand the inside of those clear parts. So we're gonna be looking, definitely looking at that in the next update. But I wanted to go ahead and memorialize the fact that I am now ready to actually attach these, and so that's what I'm going to do. I've got my shuttle bay closed door here, and what I've done is I found a piece of card. We sourced it that has a really nice ripple effect on it, and it works really well. We like the ridges on it; they're nice. It's got plenty of detail. I put it in boiling water to get that nice curve. And what I've done is I'm starting to putty the sides of the shuttle bay, the large shuttle bay, because we're going to be putting our shuttle bay in, and then we're going to be also providing a door so that you can just simply lift the door off to take a look inside that shuttle bay. At least that's the general idea. And the shuttle bay, I think, has turned out really, really well. Here it is. And I've got lots of nice detail in that. I've got a couple of shuttles in there that I've detailed out, and I've put in some of the cratage and cartage that is supplied. I have added a little decal Enterprise to the back top. This top sits flush against the ceiling that is lit, and I'm leaving a little bit of darkness here in the sides for just for some shadowing and some detail. But I'm very happy with the way this turned out, and so I should be able to install that, and then we will be I think we'll be good to go. Okay, I think that's going to do it for this update. I don't want to cram too much into it, and I have an awful lot to do, and I do want to get something out for the weekend. So I think this is a good place to stop. And in episode 6, we'll get into we'll get into the lighting and wiring of the nacelle. I should have been, by that time, have had enough of a chance to think about it and get a sense of how that looks. And I'm hoping and praying in the next update that you'll be able to see my stand for the first time. I'm super excited about that. And we'll start to look at how all of the wiring in this ship is going to come down into the control board. So things are really progressing. However, having said that, I'm also waiting for Lou's additional masks that he's sending us, because now that we're painting this and we're not using the decals, there's an awful lot to consider. So, but I'm pretty excited about the fact that I believe we're going to be able to draw on the guidance of Rick Sternbach, who I know is helping Lou out with individual decals for the registration, and also for our Delta shields and all the other details. So that's exciting. Okay, so there you have it. This is the conclusion of part 5. Thank you so much for continuing to support the channel and to follow this journey. I'm really excited about this build. I think this is going to be a spectacular addition to my collection. And I think I've done a pretty decent job at keeping it, keeping its footprint as small as it can possibly be, considering how insanely large this 1650 Helios kit is. Hey, if you want to get a hold of me, I am spruverse@gmail.com. Follow my daily posts on Instagram, my in the weeds shots of what's on the bench and other things that I'm thinking about. Hey, you can buy me a cup of coffee now. That link is in my channel page. It's in my channel page. I use that for charitable donations, and also to help with the channel, as we grow. I greatly appreciate it, just, for anybody who wants to say thank you. And hey, don't forget to click the like and subscribe. If you're just discovering me for the first time, almost 48% of everybody who finds the channel are not subscribing, and they're watching on a daily basis. So if you haven't subscribed, I'd really appreciate it. Click the thumbs up, subscribe, and that way you'll know when I've got other content coming. But as always, I wish all of you, please, be safe, be well, build something, and I'll see you next time. Take care, everybody. Be well.